Azam, Part 9. This phase transformed over time and gradually over the centuries evolved into frequently repeated forays, primarily for loot of the inestimable wealth of the land. Some came in those centuries in a frenzy of Islamic zeal, destroying whatever non-Islamic symbol, structure, or image fell their way. They were the early iconoclasts of Islam, destroying what for them were the symbol of Satan. Conquest, dynastic rule, and invaders becoming Indians came lost. The three broad categories cannot in any fashion be delineated with geometric precision, for it was not as if one followed the other in an orderly manner, the movements of the first evolving into the next. Accompanying these invasions came a new experience for India, conversions of the non-believers to Islam, until a time arrived when finally the conversion of unbelievers to Islam, and of course until a time arrived when finally Islam itself got transformed by India. Well, intermeshing with it and ultimately being absorbed by it as an integer. All this upon which we have now spent about a few sentences in reality took almost a millennium and so, and it almost took a millennium and a half to evolve, quite a long period of time. It almost took a millennium and a half to evolve. Well, Jaswant has been talking about the Indianization of the people, of the Muslims in India, and that's what he has said over here. India's involvement with those diverse strands of Islam covered the entire range of human experience, encapsulating within the geographical spread of the subcontinent, a journey that traveled from arriving as a conquering faith, adopting the country as a home, and then finally dividing this very homeland with the faithful abandoning it. Islam had come to India principally by the invading Islamic forces, fueled by the lure of a throne and of the rulership over these rich, fertile, bountiful lands of Hind. In consequence of Hind, of course, is an Arab term, and that's what, well, it is also true that the people of India did not use a name for their country. It is, in fact, part of the culture. The Indians do not give it a name. They have been Hindus, and they have been Hindus for thousands of years, but they have never given a name to their religion. It was only the 19th century when the British Empire gave them a name, and the British, in fact, it was one of the British authors who called them Hindus. And before 19th century, even they were not entitled as Hindus. So the name was not there, the customs were there, the practices were there, but the name was not there. And so is true to the name of the country. The name of the country, which is called Hind, and Jaswant Singh has rightly been using Hind, it is in fact given by the Arab invaders, by the Arab marine captains, the Arab naval leaders and the Arab naval merchants, in fact, who took around of India, traded with Indians. In fact, they give it a name, and it was for their trade accounts that they needed to have a name to this country. So the Arabs gave it a name of Hind. And as far as the Indians are concerned, they don't have any name for their own country. They never used it as a world. So here it goes. In consequence, Islam became the faith of a conquering invader, acquiring the identity of a foreign Islamic outsider. How did Islam with ease first become Indian, then struggle to become a geographical supernumerary to it, and to this great spread of what was their own home, from being the faith of kings, emperors, and the rulers of India for a period of time, it then became the faith of the separator, and of those that divided the land, expelling itself notionally from India and moving voluntarily to the eastern and western peripheries of it. while relegating such of the faith that remained within India to a life of perpetual self-questioning and doubt about their true identity. For those that remained were then questioned humiliatingly, where do you actually belong to? These bewildered, abandoned faithful rightly therefore now lament, are we also not the Ummah, an Arabic word which means community or a nation? Beside what then of the Muslim leagues boast of being the sole and the exclusive representatives of all the faithful?